Now, in this video, it's very interesting that we watching Robert Greene say some shit about this. This nigga is so manipulative. This is the most manipulative motherfucker. Everything is an ulterior motive with this motherfucker, but we gonna really get into it, man. Let's go.
You want to feel kind of strong and anchored in yourself. Now, that's not so easy in this world because a lot of people see masculinity as something negative, whereas it's actually something very, very positive. It's this kind of energy that has built cities, that has invented things, that has created civilization. Not that women did not have a huge role in that as well, but there's something extremely positive about masculine energy. The lack of male role.
I think one thing I'll always say is that women don't get enough credit in the building of civilization is because number one of two things: bad women and bad men. You know, the bitches, the hoes, they usually, talk about men in a way or use men in a way where it's like it's very degrading as their character. And bad men, you guys who pretend to be good guys, but they're not really good guys in their heart. Those guys are usually the motherfuckers that usually manipulate or the ones that tear women down. But if you really just find you a solid man, a man who just about what he's about, his principles, his morals, his work, his purpose, those are usually the same men that build up women mentally. They might not get paraded, because me personally, I love having women around. I love spending time with women. I like having more than one woman. I might not get paraded as a good guy for that, but the way that those women get treated, probably the best man they probably ever had. You know what I'm saying? The moral compass that I present is probably the best that they ever had of genuineness. Probably the best they've ever had. But in reality, like, a motherfucker that's lying to a woman might, and pretending to be a certain way for a woman, they can paint a picture of a woman and be like, oh, they ain't all that. It's because they are lying to themselves. You know what I'm saying? And it's the reality, bro. They be having some sick motherfuckers in this world.
Models in the world, as opposed to the kind of Andrew Tates and the people that get a lot of publicity for what I would call and what others have called kind of performative masculinity, where you're kind of creating the illusion of it. You're using all of the signs that indicate masculinity, somebody who's really out there, who's insulting people, who's really aggressive. And a lot of that's just performative, and it's actually very empty. And I'll tell you what, when I see somebody who's like that, who is trying so hard to project a masculine image in the sense of yelling, being overly dramatic, putting people down, being kind of bullying, I think, my God, what a weakling, what a little insecure baby. I look at those people, and if you can imagine them when they were 3 years old and how desperate they were to get attention and how kind of weak that is. So I want you to think of what it means to be a man and to be masculine. And of course, there's a range in people.
And this is my thing. The difference between what he's saying, which is arrogance and confidence, it comes about in one way, and this is how you always can tell what state of mind somebody is, because somebody can easily get into a state of mind of confidence, and somebody can easily get into the state of mind of arrogance. It's just a state of mind. This ain't no movie. There's no one way fits all. This guy's this way all the time. It's not a true thing. The difference how you can tell is when his arrogance is based upon, his confidence is based upon other people, and his confidence is based upon himself. One can get taken away by him. You put him in one environment, take him out, and put him in another environment, his confidence is shot. No matter what environment, a man that is confident within himself, no matter what environment he is in, he's gonna always maintain his confidence in who he is. And other people might look at that like, oh, this, that, and this, and that, and this, and that. But real confidence is like it's like a balance of humility. You know what I'm saying? Arrogance doesn't really have that balance of humility. And one thing I'll always say, I think a part of being a man is understanding that when you are confident, you can be misunderstood. Me personally, I don't think Andrew Tate is per se a mask. I think he's just opinionated. Like, me personally, I call niggas losers. If somebody lying, they gotta always lie to get what they want. That's a loser. Not a loser because I think he's a loser. Is because his actions is showing that he doesn't really believe in who he really is. He has to pretend to get what he wants, which means that he doesn't believe in who he is. Somebody cannot win and not be a loser in my eyes. They don't have to win to not be a loser. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to not. They don't have to win. You know, they don't have to win to be for me to see them as a winner. All you have to do is try in their own way. As long as they're trying in their own way, in my eyes, I'm gonna see you as a winner. If you decide to follow a principle, a code, and I can see it attached to your character, and you see it all the way through, even if things don't go your way, in my eyes, you are a good person. You can be doing some fucked up shit, but in my eyes, of me seeing that, I at least know that you have the capability to be strong. And you know, a lot of motherfuckers, they don't see these things because they're so busy caught up on the mask. It's like, nah, nigga, there's more to it than the mask. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be able to really, and it's all going to the way you look into yourself too. You know, that's why I always say, like, go on the back end, talk to me on Discord, talk to me on, you know, get a one-on-one coaching. You know, I always say this shit. It's because, like, you need somebody in your life that's like that. Me personally, I have a few people in my life that's like that. You know what I'm saying? But some of it free, some of it's not. You know, and by me having that, I get to see, okay, there is more to things than that. Because me personally, I ain't never have, you know, a model that was actually masculine. A lot of guys, they had money, but they weren't really they couldn't really teach that. You know, some guys, they couldn't if they were masculine, they weren't teaching that. They was just masculine. You know what I'm saying? So now it's just multiple elements in my life where it's like, this is what I have in place for myself. People that I have in my life, they're playing a part in my life. The people who weren't really playing a part in my life, it's kind of like, you're cool, but you're not really going to be in my life because you're not really benefiting me in a way that in a way that I'm going. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about the way it's all about your intention. You know what I'm saying?
You know, have all different kinds of forms of it. And I don't want to preach this is the only way, but you want to think of it as a kind of inner power, a kind of self-control that you have. You want to feel kind of strong and anchored in yourself. Now, that's not so easy in this world because a lot of people see masculinity as something negative, whereas it's actually something very, very positive. It's this kind of energy that has built cities, that has invented things, that has created civilization. Not that women did not have a huge role in that as well, but there's something extremely positive about masculine energy. It's energy that's ambitious, that wants to make things. So you're somebody that wants to make and do and create things, not just talk and talk and talk and talk, okay? But the other thing is, when I look at these people who are performing masculinity, one thing you'll notice is they can't stand any kind of criticism. If anybody criticizes them, they get enraged, right? They're so weak. And in fact, they have to go to reach a level where they have to make sure nobody can criticize them. They shut off all access. They have interviews where nobody can ask any questions that are possibly negative. And I look at that as, if you're really strong, if you're kind of like a samurai warrior, you want fights. You want those sword fights. You want people challenging you. You want to take criticism. It makes you stronger. You know, probably the greatest boxer that I ever knew growing up as a kid was Muhammad Ali. And what made a Muhammad Ali so great was Joe Frazier was having a really strong adversary that he could measure himself against. So having adversaries, having
This is what you gotta realize though. The battle is always within. Whenever you fighting somebody, especially when I get in the boxing ring, you can see what somebody doing, but when you see what they're doing, it shows you your weaknesses. It does. It shows you what they're trying to take advantage of. It shows you, and by doing that, you can see also their weaknesses and what you can take advantage of. But the element of fighting, the element of competing, is different between the element of what really makes you a man. Like, for example, I don't need to compete to build a city. I don't need to really compete against people to build a city. But I need to compete against people to have what it takes to build a city. You get what I'm saying? Or to maintain a city. And when I'm getting at to build a city, I mean the attributes, the traits, the things that are truly within you. You have to build that up. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, you can say I'm measuring up against somebody, but you being able to actually produce that result, like, you don't need anybody to go against with that. And now this is why, and this is another example. A lot of people believe for you to have a good mouthpiece, you have to talk to a lot of people. This is not true. This is not true. To have a good mouthpiece, you have to be clear with yourself. You have to practice being clear. You can write, you can talk, you can record yourself, you can do a whole bunch of things that's just, literature. By you practicing literature, when you talk to other people, you don't need to necessarily go against them in a debate or have a conversation with them for to be articulate. You are articulate because you practice those things. Muhammad Ali is a great boxer because he practices boxing. You see what I'm saying? And it's a lot of what's going on inside of you. And this is what I mean when I say you don't need to compete against other people to build up a great city. But to keep a great city, you have to compete against people. You know what I'm saying? Now this is what I mean, because that's what I'm saying when I say this, because you can see your weaknesses, you can see your strengths, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change who you are. And this is what I mean when I say there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. You see what I'm saying? Like it's truly within you. Everything is really built up in you, because when you really are locked in on yourself, you can see your own weaknesses. It becomes so clear to you.
Conflict where you just don't get hysterical, where you feel so insecure that you have to put people down or you have to get away from them. That's not strength. That is complete weakness. So you feel strong inside. You can take criticism. You feel confident. You feel that it's a positive. These are positive virtues. You don't have to talk a lot. You have a kind of a quiet energy, and people are drawn to that. I noticed, for instance, now this will sound kind of contradictory or not what you think, but I remember when I did my book with 50 Cent, when he you might think that he's kind of one of those people that performs masculinity, but in real life, when you're around him, he's not like that at all. That's kind of a role that he plays. He's actually very calm. And when you see him in like a group situation, he's got this very calm energy, and all eyes, he draws all the attention towards him. That's the kind of thing that I've noticed in certain men that are very confident and very secure about them. They don't have to talk a lot, they don't have to perform, but they just know who they are and are comfortable with it, and it draws a lot of attention. So the main thing is a sense of inner strength, a sense of security, that you don't need to prove yourself. The way that you prove yourself is not by how many women you can seduce. It's not by how big your cars are and how fast they are and how expensive they are. It's not by bragging and yelling. It's by making things. That's how you gain your confidence. That's what makes you a man. You create things. You build a business. You make things with your hands. You write a book.
You have to create it inside and bring it out into the world. That's what really makes you a man, because when you bring it into the world, you're gonna run into so many fucking trials, and it's gonna build you into a man. By you facing those trials, it's gonna build you into a man. It's gonna make you a man. It's gonna make you a man. And I'm telling y'all, like, some people find it. You can find this at any age. You can find this when you're young. You can find this when you're old. It's just when you are a man, you just accept that this is what it is. That's when you know, when you take full responsibility for it. That's real masculinity. When you say this is what it is, and this is what I'm going for, and this is what I have to do. This is what I have to do. Not because, I want to do it because I can't do it, or no. I just want to take responsibility for bringing my future into action, into what's in here, into reality. I take responsibility of managing what's in here and managing it in reality the way I see it up here. You know what I'm saying? It's taking full responsibility for it. And a lot of dudes, that's the reason why I say it's on you, because a lot of people can pretend and get treated like a man and get seen as a man in a lot of people's eyes. But the only people who will really know is people who are real men. They'll really know. That's why, to me, I don't really think, from what he wrote in his books. Now, he can see it differently. He cannot really be that. But if you really listen to him in his books, he is a fucking manipulative motherfucker. Like, everything about what he sees in reality is manipulative. It's deceptive. Like, that's his whole being. To me, he's a snake. He's a snake. Not saying that I don't know him, I could be wrong. But that's my point, is that this is where I see him. Now, the way I see Andrew Tate, I see Andrew Tate as a guy who is, you know, he's a fucking nerd. If you really being real, he's a nerd, but he's a man. Like, he's a guy who's honest, who's truthful, and he doesn't manipulate. He doesn't deceive. He actually pushes saying and moving in your own truth and seeing the truth of what it is. That's what a man is in my eyes. In his eyes, from somebody who lies, manipulates, deceives, cool. Andrew Tate can admit, I am scared. Anybody who can admit that they're scared and they're still pushing forward, trust me, bro. A lot of people are not even going to confess to that they're scared. Every time I step into a boxing ring, now I can see the danger, and I can see I can still have confidence in what I can do, but still be scared. Like, this is what from my experience, this is what I see. You know what I'm saying? But there's other guys. A guy can have on a nice suit, a tie, and at the same time, you know, manage a business. At the same time, go home and, you know, be this way, go around friends, and be a different way, be around other guys, and be the funny guy, be around this guy, be the sad guy, be around this guy, be the motivational guy. Come over here with these guys and be the guy who, you know, begs and pleads, and be this guy who can cheer up a crowd. To me, some people can see that guy as a man, but no matter where I am, I'm going to always see that guy as a chameleon. I'm going to always see that guy as a nice guy. I'm going to always see that guy that way. But most of the world, depending on who's in front of and put on what face he has on, you know what I'm saying? This is why I always say, like, you can't really compare it to other men. You got to compare it to the way you see yourself. And it's very challenging when you do that, because you got to really accept where you at. Like, accepting where you are in different categories, it is not a good time. It's actually a time where you're going to have to shit on yourself. You got to make yourself less valuable in your own eyes to see that you are. That's really what you see yourself as in moment to moment, not in as an overall person, a potential. No, from moment to moment, what do you really show yourself? You know what I'm saying? What do you really see in yourself? What choices do you make for yourself? And that's when you really gonna see, like, okay, man, I'm really gotta work on this. I gotta work on that. I gotta work on this. From moment to moment, judge every moment. While you're in the moment, be in the moment, but judge the moment off of who you are. You know what I'm saying? That's who you really are. And a lot of people, they don't really want to do that. Like, one of the most, I know I'm kind of rambling, but one of the most crucial things that I always will say when it comes down to boxing is that a lot of people in this world believe that they can fight, and most people haven't even gotten to a real fight. Like, they haven't got, or they never fought against somebody who can fight. Me personally, I've gotten my ass kicked. Now, I've also kicked ass, but if I'm really being real, I've learned a lot more about how to fight against people who kick my ass than people who I kicked their ass. You know what I'm saying? It's because they really took advantage of a weakness. Like, they did a good job of taking advantage of a weakness, and that's what made me say to myself, oh man, I gotta do this, I gotta check this, I gotta, you know, like. But in a lot of people's eyes, because I got my ass kicked, I might get seen, oh, you ain't that good, but I might kick their ass. One, and two, they might say to themselves, oh, he not that good, and never got into a fight, and never actually seen in themselves, I don't know how to throw a punch, I don't know how to throw a jab. I never seen somebody who can fight, know he can fight, know he's a great fighter, and him tell me that I'm at least a decent fighter. I haven't even got told I was a decent fighter by a great fighter. And a lot of people, they live in that. They live in that delusional state of really believing that this is what you are. Like, you really think you this, but you're not. You're not this. You're not this. And that's what I seen, where I was just like, You gotta really say this is a no go. And once you see that it's a no go, you gotta let them go. You gotta let that version of you go. You gotta step into something new, step into something bigger, step into something greater. And once you step into that, no one can take that from you.
You do something, you're productive, and you make things. Because for hundreds of thousands of years,
I'll ramble
that's
for a
what
little
made
minute.
men who they are. Building things, creating things with their hands. I hope I've spelled it out. These are kind of what I consider to be male, masculine virtues. And I think that's very important in this day and age to kind of promote.
And this is what I mean. In his eyes, he's not really saying what's going on in their mind. And this is why I say, bro, a lot of it, what he does is manipulative. That's why I always say a lot of what he does is deceptive. Because what's going on in a man's mind, it was actually what he doing in reality. Does not. It does not. I'm telling you, there are guys who use their hands all day and they're soft. There are guys who can kill somebody and they're emotionally charged and cry themselves to sleep. Like, they have no real intention behind what they're doing outside of they think that they should do it. This is not masculine. This is not masculinity. It's not. A king, a guy that's a king, a guy that can rule, a guy that has ruled a nation, can never use his hands. And still be a fucking dictator and run a fucking civilization, never using his hands. Y'all gonna tell me that that's not a man? And this is what I mean, man. It's levels to this, bro. There's levels to it. Fame doesn't make you a higher level. Fame just makes you known. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way people see you doesn't make you what you are. That's just how they see you. You feel what I'm saying? So y'all gotta keep this in mind.
Those kind of values.
That's all I got for y'all, man. Leave a like down below, subscribe, because I know if you watched this to this point, you have learned something.